Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really deep look at this really insightful piece. It's a blog post from Rosy Minds.
Oh, yeah. I know this blog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the title really kind of hits you right between the eyes. God has picked me up, dusted me off, and given me hope.
Quite a title.
Yeah, quite a title. Really sets the stage. And we've got a link down in the show notes so you can check it out, the whole blog post, if you want to follow along with us. But our mission today with this deep dive is really to pull out what we think are the most valuable insights from this post,
Absolutely.
particularly around how to find hope, how to build resilience
Right.
when life gets tough.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really aiming for those aha moments, those key takeaways.
Light bulb moments.
Yeah, exactly. And Rosy Mind starts with this really relatable feeling, just that,
Everybody's been there.
yeah, that moment of
You
falling,
pick you up and you're like, oh.
whether it's literal or, like a figurative stumble. And from there, she really explores this powerful image of being lifted up,
Yeah.
the necessary process of getting dusted off,
Lit.
and ultimately the strength and the security that hope provides.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack this a bit. I mean, she starts out in a really everyday, really relatable way, right?
Yeah, I love how she does that. I mean, it's like you're reading a letter from a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't feel preachy at all.
No, she's just very honest.
Yeah.
And, starts by talking about literally tripping over a laundry basket,
Right. We've all been there.
which we've all done, or something like that.
Yeah, like a toy or,
Oh, yeah, a cord kid's toy, yeah.
Yeah. And she uses that as kind of this entry point to this much larger idea, right?
Yeah.
That setbacks in all their forms are just part of life. They're part of being human.
We all experience that.
Yeah, and I think what's really important here is she's not just talking about huge failures, It's just those little stumbles, too.
Just life happening. Life just lifing you.
Yes, love that. Life just lifing you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And she makes this great point that sometimes these falls aren't even our fault.
Sometimes it's just circumstance.
Yeah. I think that's huge, right?
Huge.
Because I think, whether we're talking about faith or just life in general,
Yeah.
there can be this pressure
Sure.
to just be perfect all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Especially now with social media. Everybody's putting out their perfect curated life.
Right. Christianity versus Instagram.
Yes, perfect analogy. It's like we feel this need to present this perfect image when the reality is much different.
Right, right. Like, do you think that's just a modern issue, or has this always been the case, just expressed differently?
I think it's probably always been there, this desire to kind of present this image of ourselves.
Right.
But yeah, I think social media definitely has amplified it.
Yeah, definitely amplified it. But getting back to the blog, she doesn't shy away from really naming all the different ways that we can find ourselves face down in the dust, as she puts it.
Right. And she covers it all. I mean, from big moral failures, to just feeling completely burnt out.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, we all hit that point at some time, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Grief, depression,
Yeah, heavy stuff.
the heavy stuff. So she's really acknowledging that this is
real.
This is a real thing.
It's real, and it happens.
That happens.
Universal.
And she uses this example of King David from Psalm 38.8.
Oh, yeah, great example.
Which, this is someone
Huge big deal.
who's a huge figure of faith, accomplished amazing things.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And he's openly admitting to just feeling feeble and severely broken.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. So it's normalizing those really tough times.
I think that's so important because it shows us that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of established this truth that falling is just part of life.
Part of life.
Where does she take us next?
Well, from that low point, from being sprawled on the floor, she shifts to this really beautiful image of God's hand reaching down.
Okay, and how does she describe this hand? Because I think that's important.
Yes, it's not a finger pointing,
Right, right.
Not judgmental. It's purely compassion. Like, when you see a little kid fall and you just want to pick them up and comfort them?
Yeah.
It's like that. Just pure support.
So she's saying, we fall, it's inevitable, but we're not alone in those moments.
Right. We are met with compassion.
And she backs this up with that quote from Psalm 113.7, right?
Yeah. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap.
Powerful stuff.
It is. It's really saying that God's actively involved in our lives.
Yeah.
He lifts us up.
And it's not because we deserve it, right?
No, it's purely out of love.
Yeah. Okay, so we've fallen, we've been picked up, But she makes it clear that's not the end of the journey.
Right? It's just the beginning.
So what's this dusting off all about?
The dusting off, it's kind of like the personal work that comes after.
So it's more than just being picked up.
Yes, exactly. It's about healing and restoration.
Okay. And what does that look like, this dusting off? What does she say about that?
It's like taking care of those wounds we might have ignored,
Yeah.
dealing with the pain we've been carrying. And sometimes it even involves confronting those lies we tell ourselves, those negative beliefs.
I think that's so important.
It is. We all have those negative tapes playing in our heads sometimes.
We do, yeah. And she also talks about,
Oh, and sometimes we need help.
yeah.
God brings people into our lives, friends, mentors, a therapist, even to help us in that process.
Right. It's about community. And I think it's so easy to forget that.
It is. We try to do it all on our own sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. And then she brings in that great verse from Proverbs 24:16.
Oh, I love this one. Though a righteous man falls 7 times, he rises again.
So powerful, right?
It is. It's saying that our falls don't define us.
Yeah. Okay, so we've fallen. We've been lifted up. We're being dusted off. What role does hope play in all of this?
She really distinguishes between just wishful thinking, hoping things will get better, and the real anchoring hope we find in Christ.
Right. So it's not just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
No, it's so much deeper than that. It's a firm foundation.
And she uses that beautiful image of an anchor from Hebrews 6:19.
Yeah. Think about what an anchor does for a ship. It keeps it grounded during a storm.
Keeps it from being tossed around, right?
Exactly. And that's what hope does for us. It keeps us steady when life gets chaotic.
Okay, I like that. So it's not just about getting through the tough times, but it's about having this anchor that keeps us from being completely swept away.
Yes. We can face those storms head on, knowing we have something solid to hold on to.
And this hope isn't just about weathering the present storm, right? There's a future element to it, too.
Oh, absolutely. God's promises are much bigger than just our current situation.
What does she say about that?
She talks about a future filled with purpose, healing, even restoration. And she brings up that amazing verse from Joel 2.25, which is just so encouraging.
Oh, the one about God restoring what's been lost.
Yes. It's like even more than what was taken sometimes.
Wow, that is encouraging. Now, I think a lot of people can relate to this feeling of repeated failures. Those times when we make the same mistakes over and over.
Again, she calls it. And yeah, I think we've all been there. It's so frustrating.
And how does she approach that?
With so much grace. She reassures us that God isn't surprised by our, again.
He gets it.
He gets it. And she quotes Psalm 103.8 and 14, which is such a beautiful reminder of God's compassion and understanding. He knows we're human. We mess up.
Yeah, but he loves us anyway.
Exactly. And she actually encourages us to run towards God when we mess up, not away from him.
Which can be hard, right?
It can. We tend to hide when we feel ashamed.
Yeah, but she's saying that God is actually waiting for us with open arms, ready to forgive and help us get back up.
It's like that prodigal son story. The father is always waiting.
Beautiful. And at the heart of all this lifting, this dusting off, this constant offering of fresh starts, is Jesus, right?
He's the ultimate lifter.
She really emphasizes that. How does she put it?
She says that Jesus wore our dust. It's like he completely identified with our human struggles.
Wow. And what does it mean for us?
Well, through his incarnation, his death, and his resurrection, he made it possible for us to experience true hope and restoration.
Powerful. So it's through him that we can be lifted up and dusted off.
Yes, exactly. And she uses that image from Psalm 40.2 of being lifted out of a slimy pit and given a firm place to stand.
Okay, I love that visual. Now, she also talks about the reactions we might get from others when we're trying to get back on our feet.
Oh, yeah. That can be tough. Not everyone will be supportive.
So how do we navigate that?
She encourages us to prioritize God's perspective over the opinions of others.
Right, because ultimately it's his approval that matters most.
Yes. She reminds us of Romans 8.31. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Powerful. So we don't need anyone's permission to rise and experience the freedom that God offers.
Exactly. We are free to move forward, regardless of what others might say or think.
And then she brings in this kind of unexpected element, right?
Humor.
Yeah. She talks about the role of humor in healing.
I love that she does that. It's so relatable. She talks about crying while eating ice cream and then just starting to laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Yeah, I love that story. So it's like, even in the midst of pain, it's okay to find moments of lightness.
Yes. Laughter is a gift from God, and it can be so healing. She even quotes Proverbs 17.22. A cheerful heart is good medicine.
Yeah, it's a good reminder not to take ourselves too seriously all the time. Okay, so we've talked about falling, being lifted, dusting off, hope, and even humor. What's her final message or takeaway for us?
She reminds us that our stories are not over. As long as we're alive, God is still working in our lives.
Yeah. It's so easy to get discouraged and think, oh, it's too late for me.
But she's saying it's never too late. She uses that beautiful analogy of God as a mosaic artist.
Oh, yeah. Taking all our broken pieces and creating something beautiful.
Exactly. And she backs us up with Philippians 1.6, that God will complete the good work he started in us.
So even when we feel broken, God sees potential for something amazing.
Yes. And it's not just about our own restoration either. She calls us to get going and help others who are struggling.
So it's about paying it forward, right?
Exactly. And she references 2 Corinthians 1.3 to 4, which is all about comforting others with the comfort we've received.
So the hope that we've been given is meant to be shared with others.
Yes. We can be a source of hope and healing for others, just like God has been for us.
That's beautiful. Now, as she wraps up the blog, what does she say to those who might be feeling unworthy, forgotten, or just too broken?
She speaks directly to them, sharing her own experience of being in that place and finding God's grace. She reminds them that they are not disqualified, not too late, not a lost cause.
I love that. She really emphasized that God is not done with us.
No, he's not. And she ends with those powerful affirmations. You are loved by the God who lifts, and he's giving you hope that will never run dry.
Wow. Just so much hope in those words.
So much.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive into Rosy Minds' blog. I hope you found it encouraging and helpful.
Me too. It's such a great reminder of God's love and his power to heal and restore.
So as you reflect on all of this, what dust might you need to acknowledge in your own life? What past experiences or current struggles might you need to allow God to dust off?
It's a great question to ask ourselves.
And if you want to explore this further, remember, the link to the full blog post is in the show notes.
Definitely check it out. It's worth a read.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.